They say there is nothing worse than losing a loved one, especially when they take their own life. The reality of what happened, the agony of grief that follows, becomes unbearable. Causes of teenage suicide can be difficult to pinpoint and may involve several factors. Teens go through several vulnerable periods at this stage of their lives. No matter how small or big their problems, their troubles may feel unbearable or overwhelming. Major causes of this behavior may be attributed to these factors: major disappointment, stress, peer pressure, depression, substance or alcohol abuse, and biological components related to brain chemistry. These are some of the factors we wish to explore, starting with the first-hand experience of a family who suffered this tragedy of a teen taking her own life.
As far as what kind of person she was, I mean, she was very, very bright. She was very funny, very caring. She couldn't handle if someone around her was upset. If they were crying, she would go out of her way to hide her problems to try to help someone else who was hurting. So she cared about everybody.
Growing up, Hailey was always a, very passionate, artistic, individual. She loved what she was doing when it came to all her arts and crafts. Really cared about her friends.
Meeting her, the first thing I got from her was she's just such like a bubbly person. She was super fun, energetic. She always had something to say. And we both found out we had similar interest in music. We both liked Blink-182, and we kind of bonded from there.
A mutual friend took her to my house. We immediately became best friends.
Hailey was always a really fun person to be around. I knew whenever I was having a hard time or I just wanted to let go, Hailey was the person to go to.
When you saw her being bullied, how did you react to that?
When I saw people bullying Hailey or treating Hailey wrong, I just felt angry, more angry than I felt in my life. I wanted to stop it. I wanted it to end because I know how she felt inside. I know how hurt she was inside.
She was good at hiding, which was usually problematic. But once you got to know her, you could usually tell her tics, and you could usually see when something was wrong.
I was bullied all through 8th grade, probably the worst school year I ever suffered, so we related a lot on that aspect. So I really understood everything that she was struggling with.
She used to tell me how people would make fun of her, and I hated it because I was bullied myself, and I knew how she was feeling. So me and her would talk to my older sister, and we would just sit and just talk together. And I would try to tell her how they're wrong, tell her how she's amazing, and I would try to help her out. And if that didn't work, I would just take her mind. I would take her to go to the mall, or I would take her mind off of it.
She was seeing a psychologist. As the years went on, that became more frequent. So she was going to a psychologist once a week. She was seeing a psychiatrist once a month to maintain her medication. So there was a lot of therapy. Trying to maintain the medication, which was always a battle. Well, I don't like this one, it makes me tired. Oh, I don't want to take it on Friday, I'm having a sleepover. Because she didn't like the side effects, she would often pretend to take it. She would hide it, and you'd find various pills throughout her room. And so then it would be at the same time, you would see things progressively getting worse for her.
Someone who is thinking of suicide may not necessarily be thinking of their family or friends or the effect of it. They are just looking for a way out, and they feel that this is the only way to get them out of the situation, to help them. Families and friends are oftentimes really traumatized by it. My own experience as a nurse and the times that I've lost people, I know the very first time that a patient of mine died by suicide, I just kept wondering what I missed, and I think that oftentimes is the case, the guilt that the family and friends feel. And someone who is to the point of suicide just feels such a deep depression or deep sadness that they just want it to be over, and they're only trying to make this pain end, whether it's emotional pain, physical pain. They just see no other way to deal with it. And they don't always think how it will affect other people, and yet there are sometimes they think, I'm a burden to my family, so this will ease my family's burden.
It didn't change how I thought at all at the time about when I had those thoughts or anything at first. And then I started going to therapy and talking about it. And I realized that what happened with Hailey, I didn't want to put anybody through what that put her family and myself and her friends through. So now whenever I get feelings like that, I reach out for help. So that changed a lot for how I handle everything.
Her death, was completely devastating to me and my family. Not only that, everyone around us, friends, coworkers, to see the total support coming from the community during that time was unbelievable. Actually meant a lot, a real lot to all of us in the family. And yeah, completely devastating, to believing that she's not here anymore is something that we're going to deal with every day.
Hailey's death, I mean, there's no word you can use to describe the devastation that it brought on our family. I have my faith. I'm very thankful for my faith that she's in a better place. She's no longer suffering. However, the realization every day that she's not coming home is really hard to take. I mean, I'll drive in some days and I'll see a little brown-haired girl walking down the street, and you can't just have like this has all been a bad dream. That's her. She's walking home right now. Just to have her, just to not have the little jokes. There was things that she would do and she would say. I mean, she was just really funny. Or it was always the most inopportune time, when you're pouring out a pot of spaghetti, she would just come over and have to hug me right that second. Or it's just knowing that that's never going to be again. I think we've all remained there for each other, strong for each other. Everyone, not everyone, but I've heard there's terrible statistics on marriages after losing a child. Chris and I are solid together because I don't want to say this has made us stronger, but it's made us more even like appreciative of each other. I feel bad for my boys. I'm now the crazy mom, text me when you get home. And if they don't, I'm blowing up their phone for the rest of the night until they answer that they got home safely. I'm afraid. I can't do this again. I worry about Hailey's friends. I miss them. I mean, you miss the laughter in the house. I miss even the burned popcorn at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just, I mean, everything's changed. Like our house is just, it's dark and it's silent. It's empty. You just miss that vibrant life that she brought into our lives.
When I found out that she had taken her life, I felt even more responsible, and I felt like it was entirely my fault that I didn't say something. I felt like I could have prevented it had I said something, had I done something.
Honestly, it took me a while for it to fully sink in that she was actually gone. I just remember being really angry, like she was such a bright person, and she had so much potential, and I was just so mad that mental illness is what took her.
I actually, about a year before Hailey, had a friend that, I don't think he committed suicide. He was on acid and he supposedly fell off of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. So having a second friend of mine that
What would you like to say to those that have bullied others? Do you think this would make them change the way they treat other people?
Anything after she passed, we kind of just like took a step back and realized like it just kind of like hit us that you never know like what someone's struggling. You don't know like what's going on in their head. Like they could be the happiest person in the world, but they could be hurting the most. So it kind of just like me personally makes me like step back, and it's just like there's no reason to like you always have to be nice to someone, because you don't know what they're going through and you don't know what's going on with them, and they could be struggling just as much.
I would hope that after everything that's happened, it shouldn't take a serious issue for this to happen, for them to have a wake-up call and realize that they're doing something wrong. But I would hope that after everything that happened with Hailey, they take a step back and realize that they need to treat people the way that people need to be treated.
My advice to other parents would be to listen to what your children are saying, because a lot of times we dismiss things, just thinking that it's normal. She's a teenager, he's a teenager. And then that's really important. And get help as soon as you can, you know. It can save your child's life.
I would say no matter how close you think you are with your kids, don't take it at face value. Get in their business. Find out what's going on with them. You know, check their phones, check their computers. If somebody says they're okay or they're having an issue, don't just dismiss it. And don't always think that, you know, if somebody says they're suicidal, they're just looking for attention. The people that are suicidal, they're not looking for attention, they just need help. It's the ones that are no longer scared of passing. That's what you have to worry about, because they've already made their peace and they're ready to go.
Since 2007, the rate of suicide has doubled among children ages 10 to 14, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Suicide is the second leading cause of death between the ages of 10 and 24. The suicide rate among teens hit a 40-year high in 2015, according to the National Center for Health Statistics. Noticeable changes in behavior, such as withdrawal from friends and family or aggressive behavior, are among the many signs of potential teen suicide. Parents and mental health care providers also need to understand the cause of suicide in teens for effective prevention.
I'm from the long concealing limbs of the weeping willow, the perfect place to go for privacy and relaxing. I'm from the big pond behind the neighborhood, next to the willow, where the ducks swam and ate the bread that I threw to them from the side. I'm in a different place now than where I'm from, a new place completely, but really, I'll never leave the places that I'm from. Hailey Acerno.